Hey everybody,
I'm Cameron.
I'm Zach.
I know everything.
I'm apprenticing and knowing more things.
And this is the
Watching You Watch podcast.
Yeah.
Yeah, we had to collectively sigh.
We did, because
That episode should have caught off way sooner than it did, because
I'm
stuff just kept
telling you,
happening.
I did not know that episode was filled with that many things. There's a lot of things that happened in that episode.
There's too many things.
So, welcome back if you've been watching with us and watching Game of Thrones. We just got finished watching episode 7 of season 2.
Yeah.
Zach, you're mostly done with season 2 already.
It better be, because if there's drops like in this episode, we're going to have issue.
So we just watched, like we said, episode 7, entitled A Man Without Honor. Appropriately so. For
our man, Jamie.
I mean, yeah, but there's more than one man without honor.
Well, okay.
I mean, come on, Theon.
Yeah, well, that was my guess going into the episode, and I was right, so yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, it was an info-laden episode. I personally forgot how much happened in that episode, and then I was like, wow, this episode's still going, and then now we're here. So Zach, I feel almost bad telling you to recap this one.
I don't want to. You gotta make me just gotta open up the wounds and make me pour salt in.
Well, okay. Why don't we just do like
I can give you the
highlights?
Cliff Notes.
Sure, give us Cliff Notes.
Well, and once again, I'll do it by character, not by timeline, because it snapped around.
Yeah.
We'll start with the good. There is another really nice Arya and Tywin section where it's becoming a lot more obvious that her stonemason cover is not going to hold ground, but he enjoys her company enough that he lets her eat mutton, which he hates, which, I don't know. It's interesting. It's funny because he says, like, I see a lot of my daughter in you, and I'm like, oh no. It could be so bad because, yeah, Cersei's so bad. Anyways, but that's pretty much their bit, and he's looking around for the assassins because calling her favor in so quickly was not necessarily the best idea. And, okay, so going out of Herp-de-Derpen Hall and over to Winterfell, everything once again seemed happy because, like, the Wildlings lady and Hodor and, like, the little Starklings are, like, going away and eating walnuts, and it's like, hooray, this could be great. And it's like, no, Theon's he's like throwing a tantrum and throwing around greyhounds, and it's like, oh no. The Maester tries to help cover for them and isn't able to, and I mean, it happened at the end of the episode, but to round out their thing, he's like, you know how I said I'd, like, mess people up if they effed with me? Well, here's the burned corpses of what we can assume to be Bran and Rickon, but I don't think that's the truth. I think it's a lie. I think that he's just covering his butt.
Lie.
If it's true, then Theon needs to die immediately.
He does. I mean,
well, not that it wasn't already important, but, like, the first thing we need to see in the next part of the episode is just, like, Eddard Stark, like, pushing his sword through. He's like, remember me. Yeah,
zombie Eddard comes back and kills Theon.
Yeah. That would be amazing. But anyways, back to the real plot. Jon Snow and Ygritte.
Yes.
Nice. Coined the famous line, "You know nothing, Jon Snow," after she makes him feel really awkward because she, like, brings up all of his, like, oh, why haven't you slept with a woman trauma? Because it's like, of course he doesn't just, like, stop pouting to say, I was a bastard child and I don't want to make a bastard, which I don't think she honestly would have cared.
Yeah,
but
I don't think she would have cared. But he's just like, well, I'm a crow and we don't do that. And
she said something very interesting about how the new king, isn't he a crow? Or was a crow?
Was. But we're going to get into that a little later.
That intrigues me and terrifies me, all in the same respect. But basically, it culminates in him, like, once again bumbling, and then she's like, well, we could have had fun times, but now my buddies are here. And he's like, I hope I can pout hard enough to kill all of them.
By the power of pouting.
By the power of pouting. And then he raises his lower lip even higher to the point where it's grotesque. Anyways, once again, back to real story. In King's Landing, poor Sansa has started her lady times and is like, at first I really didn't understand what's going on. Then I was like, oh no, oh no, because she realized that she can bear an heir for Joffrey, and the Hound catches her, even though Shay is so goddamn awesome, and like
She,
almost literally kills the handmaiden
She almost
that comes
knifes
in.
the handmaiden over the period.
I was like, yeah. And then the Hound ruins it. It's interesting. They also have interesting interactions about how, like, you know, killing is great. And she's like, man, maybe I really shouldn't have thanked this guy. But at the same time, maybe she should, because he's basically like, yeah, I'm going to be the only thing between you and your husband.
Yeah, the Hound is like complicated. He's like, you know, he's helping her out, but he's also kind of scary. And you're not quite sure.
He's 100% scary.
What to do. So, yeah.
But other than that, in King's Landing, you get to see Tyrion and Cersei sitting there, and they're like, they got a raven. Basically, Stannis is coming with like 200 ships, and they're all like, well, this is not great. This is really, really not good. And also the other thing they talk about is how like Joffrey is such a wild card that they basically don't know if they'll be able to get through this. And it goes into a little bit more of a tender talk about how it's like, you know, when you know, you're having bastard children, there's just a chance that they'll be awful. And basically, you flip a coin 50-50. And Tyrion's like, well, at least you had two good ones. Just thinks that Joffrey's the bad one.
And they have a moment.
Yeah, it's funny because I thought it's like, are they going in for the hug? Are they going for the hug? And I guess that their form of hugging is getting within distance that they could punch each other and not doing it.
Yeah, it really is. Like, they walk up, give each other like a look, and then that's it.
And yeah, it's so funny because they're just like, I don't know, it's just so funny. It's very telling of their family and how like that's the closest to like, you know, loving your sibling can get.
Yes.
Without loving your sibling. Yeah, I would have been mortified if that's what happened next. That would have just ruined everything.
Mm-hmm.
But anyways, speaking of Lannisters over in Camp Stark, things are going down. Robb goes with Nurse Lady to pick up supplies because he wants to help the wounded and impress her. And the funny thing is this is definitely causing some friction in the camp.
Yeah, they're
it's no longer just Mama being like, now don't give her Google eyes. It's like the whole camp being like, he's tail chasing and also picking up supplies.
Yeah, they're all like, oh, we know what's really happening.
Yeah, exactly. But basically, Jamie talks to Messenger Dude, which once again, another side character who I was beginning to like, gets fracking murdered. Thank you, George R.R. Thank you, HBO.
Did you really think the Lannister messenger guy was going to have a bright future in this world?
Maybe. I thought that he could just like live a happy life away from all the garbage.
Okay, well, you know nothing, Zach.
It doesn't stop me from hoping. And yeah, he murders him in order to get the guard to come in, to murder him, to get out, to only get caught again, to make fun of my babe Ray and
Brienne, you mean?
Yeah, whatever. It's my pet name.
It's like a pastime for people to make fun of Brienne. Like, oh my gosh, she's so giant and hulking.
Horrible.
And is that a woman? And then she's like, I'll cut you. I will cut you.
And then they're like, yeah, we'll stop talking forever because she is a wonderful woman. Exactly. Anyways, but he just their sort of bit ends with him just like going all hard towards Katniss, and she's just like, you know, you're a knight without honor. It's like, oh, you know what? Man, it must have really burned you when Jon Snow came back home. You must have tried to love him, but you hated him. And I was just like, oh, no. You're the hole, you just reached 6 feet under.
Yeah.
And she's like, Brienne, you're the sword. And I'm like, and then it cuts.
She asks for Catelyn's sword, or for Brienne's sword, and then that's where we leave it.
And I was like, oh, man. Oh, geez. I don't know. It's going to be crazy. But over across the sea, you have Daenerys like trying to find her dragons, and we finally get another Daenerys Jorah interaction, which is a lot more cold. She's like, I can't trust anybody. She's just like freaking out, and Jorah's still like super stalwart and stuff. But whatever with that, that's kind of status quo anymore.
Yeah.
But then he meets with like a gold mask lady who is super cool, and I wish we would see her more because, I don't know, she seems to be like the Varys across the sea.
She knows much, it seems like.
She knows much, and also she's probably magic.
She knows that Jorah has betrayed Daenerys at least once.
Ooh, also she probably works at like carnivals because she was like doing the back painting.
Yeah, she was just painting some naked guy's back.
Well, she said she was giving him a thing to go across the sea, like a talisman or whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Something.
But moral of the story, she's like, she's with people that can't be trusted. I'm like, no freaking kidding. She's at the council right now, and they go in, and Xaro and the Xhoan Daxos goes in and is like, I'm gonna be king. Everyone's like, you are silly. And then Magic Guy's like, hey, look, Shadow Clone Jutsu, and then murders them all.
Basically.
And it's like, well, and also totally freaking called it. He basically was the mastermind behind getting the dragons. Of course, the magicians did it, but I knew it was his fault.
And now Xaro Xhoan Daxos, a.k.a. Dexter's Couscous, is king of Karth.
The Xhoan is the king of Karth. So, yeah, that's great and also terrible for Daenerys, because now she gets as many ships as she wants, but she still has to marry him.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, who knows what choice she has?
Yeah, exactly. I don't like any of the choices here. Everything in Karth is like
the magicians are
slowly
all like,
spiraling down.
They're all like, "Hey, come to our tower," and then she's like, "No, thanks."
And then he's like, "Hey, come to our towers. We have dragons." Like,
and
you are seriously bad at drumming up new members, aren't you?
Yeah, they really want her to come to that tower. So,
if that's how they get every new member, there's going to be a lot of murdered councils.
That's how I got you to hang out with me. I stole your dragons, right?
And murdered my council.
Yes.
So you remember how I said I didn't have friends? It's because Cameron murdered all of them. It's like, hey, Zach, want to do a podcast?
And I stole your dragons.
And I still have no solid proof they're alive.
I'm holding them in a cage in a tower far, far away.
That's dumb.
It's
mean, like the exact opposite. Like, what? Is it like the dragons are up in the tower and a princess is guarding them and she, like, kills all of the squires that come to get the dragons?
I don't see why not. I'm all for that.
Okay. This is a weird timeline we're creating.
It really is. And we've gotten so far off of the point of what episode 7 of season 2 of Game of Thrones is about.
It's about a whole lot of garbage happening and me not being overly pleased.
I mean... Come on, are you ever like fully 100% pleased with something going on in an episode? I think the last time you were ever that pleased was when Viserys got a golden crown.
That was a good episode.
It was a good episode.
Can we watch it again?
We might have to after this one. But let's go ahead and jump in to our recap questions here. It was honestly very difficult for me to pick stuff from this episode because like every interaction was like so good.
Yeah, and there's like world building and like all these little like throwaway lines that were not throwaway lines.
Mm-hmm. I want to focus in on kind of some of the things that are going on in the background that kind of get introduced in this episode. So first of all is the Wildlings. You already brought this up. They have a leader whose name is MANCE RAYDER. RAYDER. He's mentioned by Ygritte to be a former Night's Watch person.
Exactly.
And the moment like you saw this scene in the show, you're like, hey, what? And
yeah.
So like, what are your thoughts on that? Like, what type of person, just without knowing really anything besides the fact that Mance is a former Crow? What's your general vibe off of this whole thing?
Something stinks most foul. Basically, it just makes me question the intentions of like the Night's Watch and stuff. And if someone that was with them like defected, I don't know. I'm not thinking it's a stereotypical. It's like I can have babes and like not have to deal with this crummy oath. I feel like there's a lot more measured reason, a lot more, oh God, the world's ending kind of reason. And I would honestly see a Night's Watch person taking this kind of approach if he sees a greater threat. And especially since no one listens to the Night's Watch. Absolutely no one. Like, They're just up there and it's like, great job. And it's been said many times before, it's one of the most thankless jobs. So honestly, I don't see it as out of the ordinary for someone to step up and be like, listen, I'm going to like, rather than just like skirmishing with the Wildlings, which could literally happen for eternity, I'm going to become king of the Wildlings and like do some real good. I don't know, because...
So you think he's an idealist?
Not necessarily. That's the thing. I would like to hope that he is, but he probably isn't because Game of Thrones is just not that kind of a flowery...
It's the rule of Game of Thrones. Everything's always terrible.
Yeah, so, I mean, either he has some of those things. I think he's actually going to be a combination of both. I think he's probably going to be presented as, like, a god-awful person, and then he's going to drop, like, sort of the stuff I was talking about. Mm-hmm. Or he's just an awful person. Those are the two options. He's either an awful person on the outside with a little bit of decent nougaty center, or he's just an awful person the whole way through.
I love how this whole thing is brought up to Jon with Ygritte kind of tempting him like, hey, let's sleep together because no one would know. But then she like gets serious about it and she's like
You're
no
pretty.
one tells you who to love and I think you're pretty and hey, like you could defect because Mance Rayder defected and he's pretty cool.
Yeah, she tried so many different angles. It's ridiculous. Or like it's going to be your word against mine. That'll like sow seeds of doubt in the rest of your crows.
So badly. She kept trying to like twist it on him, but like she tried everything she could.
I don't know. I feel like she was pulling drugged out Frodo Baggins where she'd sleep with him to just like run away. I don't know how much true love there is there.
True love doesn't
maybe
exist
like
in the north.
Animal wildling love, but
yeah,
I don't know.
Like her reaction of, you have sheep then. No, awkward
Awful.
silence.
No, awkward silence.
And then she's like, you use your hand. You must be miserable.
Yeah. At least she didn't say you use your Sam. Zing.
Ooh, let's not think about that.
Well, never mind.
Gloss right over that.
She implied that one first.
Yeah, we're getting out of there. So another thing that's going on in the background is what's going on in King's Landing. Tyrion gets word that Stannis' fleet is on the move and it's headed for King's Landing, it seems. So what do you think's going to happen when that happens? When Stannis and a fleet of ships make it to King's
here's
Landing?
my prediction. They're going to pull out that like alchemist fire or whatever and be like, haha, and then Melisandre's going to be like, oh my gosh, this is my time to shine, and they're gonna get absolutely dusted.
I got fire.
Yeah, no,
I'm a fire priestess.
I know exactly. It's like you come into this battle and you throw fire at me. What is this? I am personally offended. And then she throws all the shadow demon babies at them, and they're fire. I just feel like it's just not gonna go. I don't know. It's such a wild card, but I don't think it's gonna go well for the Lannisters, and I think Tyrion is right to be afeared.
Yes. And hence a tender moment between him and Cersei.
Yeah, because they both get it.
They both get it.
While they aren't tacticians, they both know they're kind of fracked.
Yeah, kind of fracked. On one level, if not just because Joffrey, by rule of Joffrey.
Yeah, because like that's the thing.
They're going to get killed.
I think they're also thinking like, one, it's a hard fight. Two, if Joffrey makes any impulsive decision, it could literally lose the battle for them.
Yes.
Not to mention the fact that they have like weird fire priestess lady, and the fact that Stannis has a actually really well trained army and force, and he is a very tactical man. It's like, as far as like speaking of military and tactical men, it's like Stannis and Tywin.
So speaking of the Lannisters too a little bit here, there's a couple really interesting moments that happen for Cersei in this episode. The first being with Sansa after they kind of have their little chit chat. Oh, you're a woman now thing.
Yeah. That was interesting.
What did you think? Because Cersei has been a little bit hot and cold with Sansa, throughout her treatment. I feel like this feels really warm.
No,
really
this
strange.
honestly felt like the most real talk she's ever had with her, because she just like laid out her life story. It's like, listen, the more people you love, the weaker you are, the more nice they can be twisted into your like heart.
Yeah.
You gotta love your children, because that's pretty much
only your children.
Yeah, exactly, because that's about all a mother can do. And it's like, but I love Joffrey. It's like, you can try.
Yeah, that was the most.
And it's funny because she is like now more openly admitting
that she failed with Joffrey.
Basically, it's like you can't control him. Like, I can't do much about him. It's not that she doesn't love him. It's just that she's like, well, I goofed that one up.
It's so interesting too, because you can almost sense that sort of tension in Cersei a little bit, between like treating Sansa like a prisoner but also sympathizing with her because she's a woman and she's pledged to marry someone she really doesn't like, and you kind of get that same gist from Cersei the way that she and Robert ended up married, Yeah,
that's I think why they got to really have that tender moment, because like right there she's like, oh my gosh, if there would have been someone there for me like before that time, it would have been nice.
Right.
You got that kind of a vibe.
Yeah. And then Cersei opens up one step even beyond this to Tyrion a little later in the episode about like this notion that maybe she's being punished for her sins of incest. Yeah. By Joffrey, basically, like the gods gave
her Joffrey just to be like, you didn't do a good thing.
Yeah. And not only that, but she does make a pretty clear relationship between like incest and madness.
Yeah.
I didn't know what you made of that.
With that kind of, I'm really, really glad venereal disease Malfoy is dead, because I didn't want to see him with Daenerys, since that seems to be the trend.
For Targaryens, for sure.
Yeah, that was a disturbing piece of world history. But yeah, and I mean the science is there. It's not good to. You need to diversify the gene pool,
right? But there's this interesting, and you brought up Viserys already. He was a product of incest too, and he was very clearly was a little bit unhinged.
Yeah, not a great dude.
And then, but Daenerys, on the other hand, seems pretty level, all things considered.
Well,
she's,
okay.
Right
even
now,
in the middle of her dragon
so much,
rage.
But on the whole, Daenerys has got it under control. She's not, she's not like Joffrey or anything,
I don't know.
So, yeah, it's a really interesting idea that, and the fact that Cersei even brings it up, yes, I screwed up. And
well, it's kind of funny because now she's finally gone from she's going through this the stages of grief, I guess, and grief of being her standing and stuff, because she was angry with him, and now she's sort of coming to bargaining and acceptance.
Mm-hmm. Part of me thinks back to this moment. It was nearer to the beginning of the season when Joffrey insults Cersei in the throne room, and she slaps him, and then it's I could have you killed for that. And it's from that moment, she all realized been this big realization for Cersei. I done goofed really bad.
Yeah, and it's funny because she didn't want to believe it when Tyrion was saying it. And I don't know, it's actually kind of funny because Tyrion can step up to the plate and he doesn't fire back. He's just
He's just yeah, I mean, you did, I guess. I don't know how to show compassion for you because you never showed compassion to me.
Yeah. And it's also kind of funny they talked about, and now he's abusing the hordes you sent him. I thought it would help. I tried.
And then he's yep, I was wrong.
I goofed.
I couldn't have been more wrong. Okay, so let's talk about the title of this episode a little bit as our last kind of recap question here. Mm-hmm. A man without honor. This statement is very clearly in the lines directed at Jaime, but I feel like there's several instances of men in this particular episode acting without honor.
Throughout the whole series.
Yes, but even more so in this episode. So, between Jaime and Theon, and even some of Rob's own men are beginning to act kind of like animals in the camp. And then on the other side of the sea, you've got the people in Karth who are just killing each other for power,
Yeah, exactly. And the fact that literally, like I said, that dude he murdered Khaleesi's men and some of his just own people just in a power play to become king of Karth.
Mm-hmm. So I kind of want to do a spin on one of our normal questions. How we usually
who's
give
the man with the least honor? Can we keep this weekly?
Who is the most dishonorable? And then maybe not weekly, but just this episode because it's been brought to the forefront.
Well, I don't know. I want to talk about I really like Jaime's talk about how the vows. Basically how people can only be true to their honor had some credence, especially in this universe, because he literally served a madman.
Yeah.
And
he brings up this good point that
it's
the
kind
moment
of funny.
You serve one vow, you're breaking a vow
to something else. Now it's brought up the same with the dudes I have sworn loyalty to Rob, but I have loyalty to myself as a father, and my son has been murdered.
Right.
So, yeah, I don't know.
Does that make Jaime a little more honorable or a little less honorable, though?
But the thing with it is it's sort of once unhonorable. It's hard to sort of scale it. I feel as if it's Theon the most out of all of them, because it's just out of this total ungratefulness for he was a prisoner, but they treated him like family, and he really was part of the family, and now he's just coming back and just I don't know. He's not a great leader. He just is.
He keeps trying to take the high ground with everybody too.
But
he's just
the only high ground
I was a good ward. Why can't Bran and Rickon be good little wards?
Yeah. Ugh.
It's shameful.
Yeah, it's funny. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't like it.
I mean, I don't think you're supposed to like it.
I kind of give it to him, but yeah, I mean,
So most dishonorable
Theon.
is Theon.
Well, and especially like for going for track record, because he went from like decent ward to like literal traitor in like a month.
Perfect. That's a great track record.
Yeah, I don't know. Obviously, Jaime has some of that, and it is kind of hard to say who is or isn't unhonorable. I will definitely agree that most honorable goes to Brienne.
Oh, for sure.
1,000%.
I love that distinction that Catelyn makes in that tent.
Yeah,
she's just
but
like,
it's funny because the thing that is, she realizes it's like, yeah, that is a truth that you're saying, Jaime, but you're still a piece of garbage.
yeah, and then she's like, see this hulking lady knight I have behind me? She has way more honor than you could ever hope to have.
Ever.
In
a week.
Yes, and it's all like, it's kind of interesting because in like their world, like she should not have any honor at all. Like Brienne is like low in the totem pole just because she's a woman and a knight. And second off, she's been accused of killing Renly.
Yeah, like of, king candidate killing.
Yeah. So, I mean, she really has no honor in like a physical sense or in like a real
in the
tangible,
technical sense.
But she just carries herself and she treats others with so much more honor.
Yeah.
Than anything else. So
yeah, exactly.
I kind of love that about
So
Brienne.
yeah, that's the thing. It's more of a lifestyle thing, which I can occasionally come down to vows, but once again, it's how the knight presents themselves, not in, I don't know, the way they follow the rules, quote unquote.
Yeah, which we know based upon like other episodes that the rules don't really count for much
at all
anymore.
Yeah.
So let's move on to our weekly wrap up questions. Stark of the Week is going to be an interesting one because again we kind of did see everybody again from Camp Stark. So and they all do really interesting things.
Yeah, I mean, like, I definitely appreciate what Rob did with actually caring about stuff. It's actually interesting. People are getting fed up with his, like, non-brutal tactics, and they have too many prisoners.
Yes, they do have too many prisoners.
And everyone that's wounded is being taken care of equally.
Right.
It's interesting. It's not something you see from any of the other rulers. That's for darn sure.
Right.
I would not expect that in Camp Lannister.
With these like kosherized rules of warfare, whereas everybody else is like, we should just burn them all to the ground. And
yeah.
Like Rob is like, no, like the people who are fighting this war, the soldiers, they didn't make these decisions to fight us. The Tywin and Joffrey and all of them did.
And it's funny because he's honestly thinking forwardly as if he were to be a king, like those would be his citizens, and it's great because that's how you really should be thinking in a war of the Seven Kingdoms. The more people you spare is the more people you have in your camp from people who weren't previously on your camp, possibly.
True. So, but anyway, Stark of the Week.
Don't necessarily think it's him because I'm just recounting each. And then Katniss just does a really great job of keeping like things stable at the camp. She always does a very good job of stepping up and being a strong like lead. And she doesn't hesitate to like where a lot of other leaders like squirrel themselves away. She like puts herself right out there and is like, okay, go ahead, kill me, the person who was the wife of your liege. Do it.
Yep. She calls the bluff a little bit.
Yeah. Oh, she 100% does. And she's 100% there herself to back it up, which is awesome. It's refreshing. You don't see that in many people in this universe. And then Arya just has awesome talks.
She's just generally clever the whole time.
I know.
There.
I love it. She's a clever girl. And she could not help but say so herself.
And then Sansa, too, has been going through a lot of growth recently.
Yeah, she's still... I feel so bad because she's still keeping up the front, but it's funny because she's keeping it up to still keep appearances, which is smart, but at the same time, she knows that everyone's like, no, Sansa, we know. Everyone knows Joffrey's a jerk, and we are so sorry for you.
Yeah. It seems less of like her whole like, oh, I love Joffrey is less of like I'm scared and in pain and like And
if I don't say this, what could happen to me?
Yeah, it's less of that, and then it's more of like a smokescreen now than it was before. If that makes sense.
The sad thing about it is it's enough to fool Joffrey, which is enough for her to get by.
Sure,
because he doesn't care, and as long as she says what he wants to hear, he'll just keep doing his garbage business.
We even get a brief glimpse too of Bran and Rickon at the beginning-ish of this episode.
I know, because like that was so freaking cool. How like they didn't want to like stop at the orphanage because then like other people could be implicated. Like Bran was so forward thinking, and like, you know, Theon is going to literally burn and kill everyone that we interact with, but we're starving, and you know there's this huge thing, and it's hard to say whether or not like the walnuts that were there were actually in there or not, or what had happened. Like that's the thing, they left a lot untold.
Especially that last scene with the burned bodies.
I don't think it's them.
At any rate,
and that's
though,
not just idealistic optimism.
At any rate, though, Stark of the Week, it's going to be a really tough one.
No, this is really tough. The thing with it is I'm giving it to Catelyn, also more for what I feel she's doing behind the scenes, because she's keeping the camp together and like watching things on top of that, and taking care of Jaime,
doing important war things, and
so
like, the
she's
camp's
still holding the fort.
apart.
Yeah, and the camp's falling apart, especially with them almost losing Jaime. Like she's holding it together. And stuff is still getting done. So I
agree.
I think I give it to Catelyn this week out of all of them. I mean, we got to see very interesting pieces of like other Stark. And honestly, to truth be told, as weird as it is, I think that Bran and Rickon were a close second, just because, talking like for airtime and the amount that they did.
Yeah.
You know, for like the 3 lines they had, they made some of the smartest and most like, oh, cool choices.
Yeah.
Because I don't think they stopped there. I think it's a blind. They're at a freaking orphanage. There's other children there. Theon is garbage.
All right. Well, let's move on to the Crown then. I know it's kind of might be hard to do this episode as well, because this episode is less about those sort of cruel machinations that people do to get towards the throne, and more about kind of digging into the characters. So, but even so, I feel like there might be a little bit of movement. So who played the game? Who played the game the best?
All right, you know,
episode?
I think that there is actually an obvious choice. While it's not one I like, I think it's Xhoan Daxos.
Ooh, dexterous couscous.
He literally... so I say Cersei, you say dexterous couscous. This is how it's going. Shots fired.
You brought this one up first, okay? Let's be honest about this. And I mean, and who wouldn't want dexterous couscous on the throne? Let's be honest. He's just so charming.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, he wouldn't be a terrible king. To be fair,
though
he's not, not very scrupulous.
Yeah.
He's a little. He
did play Daenerys a little bit here.
Yeah, well, he's played everyone.
He played everybody in Karth. So, but it's kind of interesting. Like if you flash back to that moment where Daenerys and her starving Dothraki followers are at the gates of the city.
He's the one who saves her.
He's the one who saves her.
But to what end?
I mean, he picks her up from like the desert. And it's like, even then, like, all the other high lords of Karth are all like, no, but whatever you do with her is your responsibility. Like, they completely ignore the fact that he could be playing some game with them involving her, which is exactly what he did.
Yes.
So I think it's kind of interesting.
Well, and especially since his plan was one that came to fruition, and literally there is no one to stop him from being king of Karth now, because all the rest of the council's dead. They're dead.
They're all
done.
dead. They're all dead.
So hands down, he wins the crown. He's king of Karth.
That's what happens when you don't have any competition.
You win the crown.
Yes. So, okay. Well, let's talk about plans then. Best plan, worst plan moving forward. You know, it's kind of hard to maybe evaluate a little bit because a lot of these things just sort of end so suddenly. Like Catelyn threatening Jaime, or
I was gonna say
Theon burning the bodies.
Worst plan, definitely. Yeah, Theon. Theon wins worst plan because that was dumb, whether they were the children or not.
I mean, any hope he had of like reconciling with Robb and anything there.
Yeah, or the people, or like the Maester. It's like, that was literally the most idiot move he could have made. Yeah. And Robb's like, you know, SWAT teams coming in. So,
yeah, not gonna work.
You done goofed, Theon.
Yep. Okay, so what about
best plan?
What about best plan though?
Ooh, boy. That's really, really quite hard, actually.
Yeah.
Because part of it is like a lot of the plans that got put into motion in this were like stopped. Like, Sansa's and Shay's thing to like try and hide that she had her menses was
They
so
were
incredibly
so
smart.
close.
But
They were
like
so close.
But yeah, and it's funny because they're literally gonna throw the bed out the window.
Yeah, like they're like, okay, we need to pick up the mattress, and then like it just doesn't work.
It's like, oh
yeah. I believe in the book, I think what Sansa does is she tries to burn a hole in the mattress over it, and she like lights her room on fire. In the book, if I remember correctly.
Wow.
And so she's able to smoke screen it at least once, literally.
Wow. No, I'm glad that it kind of got brought out in the open at first. And this, I don't know. When you've told me like show to book comparisons, it's not that the book is bad in the way that it does it. It's just that it's a lot better for television.
Oh, for sure.
Like they have adapted this very well for
90% of the
television.
edits that are between the book and the TV show, I feel that way about.
I'm sorry, but I'm still stalling because I really can't say what I think the best plan is moving forward. Because, because a lot of plans haven't even really happened.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, well, you know what? You know what I think the best sort of long con plan was? Ygritte and her heckling of Jon Snow. Because it worked. Because she knew as long as she stalled long enough, she was going to come across a group of wildlings.
That worked in this episode, but moving forward, like, what do you think she's got planned for Jon Snow? Or wildlings,
and that's kind of the thing. She kind of good idea. She kind of got the power play. Well, good idea for her. Yes, she now wins. Now Jon Snow's not on the winner's side of this. I mean, I see that as the smartest plan and it's one that we saw through to fruition because really she knew that she could play Jon Snow as long as she needed to get to a place where, and eventually it went from him leading her to her leading him.
Yeah.
So you can also tell that there was...
from the moment that he didn't kill her that she's like, okay, I got this. I know what I'm doing.
No, and like that's the thing. That's why I'm saying it's like a plan coming to fruition, and I think that's why she wins best plan because her plan was literally just play this guy who I know I can string along until I find some of my wildling buddies.
So calculated.
Yes,
like,
and everything she did throughout that, and that's part of the reason why she's winning, even though it's not like a long-term plan. Mm-hmm. It's just because everything she did was so good because she kept him off balance all the time,
and quite perfectly too. Like,
yeah, because it's funny.
Distracted.
He may have had the rope, but he was not the one in control.
I know. Okay, let's talk about how hopeful you are then. As far as kind of like the general scope of Westeros, we don't really
where
get
was
a lot
I
this episode.
Where was I last week?
Oh man,
I think I'm less.
You feel like you're less?
So like maybe
do you feel less hopeful after all of that happened, all that interpersonal stuff that happened this episode?
I don't like any
Daenerys
of it.
losing her dragons, is that what makes you feel less?
There's a lot that makes me feel less because there's a lot of really bad crap happening. I think I was at like a 5 or a 4.5. I'm going at a 4. Ooh. Solid 4. I really don't like what's happening. There's a lot of not good. Yeah. There's a lot of not good. And it's the thing that is the storm hasn't even hit yet.
Yes, we haven't dealt with Stannis attacking King's Landing. We haven't even met Mance Rayder yet.
Exactly.
And we don't know exactly what's going on with the dragons or anything like that.
Exactly. That's not good. It's not good.
Yeah. Well, we're coming up on the very end of season 2, Zach.
That's why the storm's coming. Oh my goodness. I'm terrified.
Honestly though, like what are your general impressions for how this is gonna like all come to a close here?
Oh my goodness. I can't even, that's why I'm at like a 4. I can't even speculate. There's too many things happening. I don't even know if they can hit all the points or make all of them coincide. I don't know how it's going to be. Mm-hmm. I'm not sure if they can close it out in these 3 episodes. I mean, I'm sure they could, but that's why I'm also giving it a 4 because I'm terrified because if they try and close most of the stuff that's been brought up now, a whole lot of bad things are going to happen.
I mean, lucky for you, though, you know that there are several seasons ahead of this. So
yeah, that's my only thing.
Not all these plot threads had to be wrapped up in a nice little bow by the end of season 2 here. But, things are going to go very interestingly here.
Yeah, I don't know. And the only other outside thing is I said that this is one of your favorite seasons, so that also terrifies me. Yeah, so there's going to be a lot of
season 2
crazy stuff.
is it just takes all that foundation from season 1 and runs with it, and it becomes one of the more, in my opinion, interesting seasons of the show. Things pick up obviously way later, but we're not going to talk about that because we've got several seasons of show to get through before we talk about that.
Will my soul make it through this?
You know, I think it will.
Okay.
We're out of 4 this week, but you've shown some serious resilience.
I still will probably be just as hopeful with every new character. I mean, it's like, maybe it's not this way.
And then several episodes later, they're dead, and the world's burning, and the dragons are gone, and
ice cream is dead.
Ice cream has not been invented in Westeros.
Don't take this from me.
Well, if you've been watching along with us and you are relishing Zach's anguish right now, man, it's gonna get real crazy, and you know what I'm talking about. So we're coming up here on the tail end of season 2. There's still some leading questions you could ask Zach about season 2. So if you have those, send them to us. You can connect with us on YouTube. Maybe you're watching this video at, there, or you can connect with us on Twitter or on Tumblr. We'd love to hear your leading questions too for Zach.
Oh, and not even just that. I'm trying to find a support group to talk through all the things that have already happened.
Yeah,
so
maybe you're in Zach's place.
You can talk over things that have happened.
Watching through it with him,
or if you just want to talk about how garbage it is that there isn't more Hodor in the series up to this point, or just like
shameful
things like that.
Of Hodor.
Yeah, or shameful lack of like fancy Tony Stark. Like, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, come on. Sometimes you just need to live in your headcanon for a little bit, and
it's how I get through my life.
It's really how you get through this show, I think.
So I mean the show. That's it.
Yeah.
No one can see my shifty eyes on the podcast shit cape.
Yeah, I know. You really got to be careful of those shifty eyes. So yeah, this was episode 7. Zach, headcanon moments right now. How do you want season 2 to end as we're closing out here?
Oh boy, how don't I want it to end? Do you honestly want to know what I want?
I want your headcanon.
Oh, get ready, because I want Tyrion to be riding a mechanized like Gollum and like running around and being tall, and I want Lady Branflakes to activate his true Super Saiyan Blue powers and just wreck everything. And I want Daenerys to be riding dragons, and I want Mance Rayder to like bring his metal band down south and play. You cannot tell me you didn't think that he was
Rayder and the Wildlings.
You cannot tell me that is like the best band name ever. Mance Rayder and the Wildlings playing tonight with songs like big. Winter is Coming. Yeah, that's and then that's what I really hope for. It all
ends in like an epic like guitar solo.
Playing at the wall. It's like
playing at the wall.
Tonight at the wall, Mance Rayder and the Wildlings.
I like this headcanon so much.
So the thing with it is I would literally need a full episode to like piece together how my headcanon works, because there's things from season 1 that would carry over. Listen, there's a lot of things that I think to make myself feel better about the things that are actually happening.
Yes, and you will have to clutch those things close to you as things get darker and deeper for us as we continue.
They're like, Tyrion's small bastardy status. I use them like a shield. My headcanon is my shield.
It has to be. Well, thanks for watching and listening to us, and we'll hope to catch you next time here.
Yep.
When things are
more dragony
and, more depressing.
No, dragony.
Yes.
You and George R.R. need to stop ripping my heart out.
The tears are tasty.
No. They're mine, and I need them to stay hydrated.